Cheap, off-the-shelf gaming laptops promise a lot of power for a fraction of the price, but most of the time they end up throttling on the first serious battle. The fans turn into a wind tunnel, and the battery barely survives a coffee break. That regret is what makes me pause before I click Add to Cart on any big screen machine. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So, does the NIMO 17.3-inch model actually dodge those pitfalls, or is it just another overpriced hype machine? When you're staring at a 17-inch chassis, the first question is whether you're buying a portable workstation or a desktop in disguise. The NIMO packs an AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS, which, on paper, can sprint up to 4.75 GHz. In my own testing with a few recent titles, League of Legends, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and even a couple of indie strategy games, I found the CPU stayed comfortably above 3 GHz during extended sessions, which kept frame rate steady. That's a big deal because many budget-oriented laptops drop back to 2 GHz once the thermals climb, turning smooth gameplay into choppy disappointment. Heat is the silent enemy of any gaming laptop, and the NIMO's 100W Type-C power delivery means the system can push a lot of juice through a relatively slim body. In a 30-minute Fortnite marathon, the chassis warmed up to about 86 F on the palm side, and the exhaust vent sang at a noticeable 45 dB. It's not a scream, but you'll hear it in a quiet room. The fan curve is aggressive enough to keep the GPU, a Radeon 780M, from throttling, yet the noise never eclipsed in-game audio. If you plan on gaming in a shared apartment or a library, you'll want to keep the volume turned up a notch or consider a headset. Keyboard feel is another make-or-break factor for long raids. NIMO equipped a full-size, backlit keyboard with a decent travel distance about 1.5 mm. That feels a bit like a mid-range mechanical board when you press hard. The key spacing is generous, so you won't accidentally mash W and S during frantic moments. The fingerprint reader on the power button is a nice security touch, but it's not a daily necessity. You'll likely just hit the power button out of habit. Battery life is where the trade-off becomes obvious. The 17-inch display sips about 6 watts per hour at idle, but under load, say, a 1080p Cyberpunk 2077 session with medium settings, it drops to roughly 4 hours before the charger clicks in. NIMO advertises up to 9 hours of mixed use, which is realistic for web browsing and video playback, but you shouldn't count on marathon gaming unplugged. The fast-charging via GON tech does get you from 0% to 80% in under an hour, so a quick coffee break can give you a full round of play. Display quality is often a blind spot for large-screen laptops that prioritize performance over color accuracy. The 17.3-inch IPS panel delivers a crisp 19201080 image, which is plenty for most competitive titles. Brightness peaks at around 300 nits, so you can game comfortably in a well-lit room, but you'll notice some glare on direct sunlight. Color gamut is close to sRGB, meaning you won't get the deep, vivid tones you'd expect from a creator-grade screen, but for most gamers that's acceptable. Portability is a double-edged sword. At roughly 6 kilograms, 13 pounds, and 2.2 inches thick, the NIMO is not something you'll carry to a coffee shop every day. It fits in a larger backpack, but you'll feel the weight on a commute. If you travel frequently, a 15-inch, lighter alternative might be more sensible. However, if you're a student who wants a desktop-class experience in a dorm room, the size gives you a comfortable viewing distance without a separate monitor. Now let's talk price versus a desktop build. You can assemble a comparable AMD-based gaming rig with a Ryzen 7 7700X, 32GB DDR5, a Radeon 780M equivalent, and a 1TB NVMe drive for roughly $1,200, not counting a monitor, keyboard, and mouse. The NIMO lands in the same ballpark, but you're paying for the chassis, integrated screen, and the convenience of a single, portable unit. If you already own a good monitor and peripherals, building a desktop could stretch your budget further. Conversely, if you need a single solution that you can slip under a desk or take to a friend's house, the laptop's all-in-one nature justifies the cost. Who should buy it? If you're a college gamer who spends evenings in a dorm, a content creator who needs a decent GPU for light video edits, or anyone who wants a large screen without buying a separate monitor, the NIMO hits a sweet spot. Its 64 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM means you can juggle multiple apps, Discord, OBS, a web browser, and a game without feeling the lag that plagues many lower-tier machines.